Challenge here this we got yep 5 4 3 2 1. I'm John Miglash for the WDMA, and we're starting with Andrew Ettinger today, and he's got something to say. Says, like, everything we do is about retention, right? Because, and let's get right into it.
Right? Because an existing client is worth 5 times the amount of a new client. And that's a fact, right? So, I think one of the big mistakes is that we don't put enough attention on retaining our clients and are so obsessed with getting new clients. And we got to remember that, if we get even if we get 100 new clients, right? How many of them are tire kickers? How many of them are people who just want ancillary products, stuff like that? So, being in business, we all want to do the same thing. We all want to retain our clients, and we all want to make everybody sticky to us. Like, I want my clients to be sticky to me, right? So I want to offer them enough products that they don't have to go to somebody else, or I want to be great at what I'm doing to make sure that no matter what, it's not a matter of price, it's not a matter of anything. They're going to stay with us. But putting out yard signs, putting out stickers, putting out, email newsletters, sending a direct mail piece. You don't need to associate the advertising with the response, because the advertising's purpose when you're doing retention is to make sure that you keep that client, make sure that they know the other services that you offer, that when they do a small job with you, that when the big job comes, they're not going back to the pool, they're going with you. So you need to remain top of mind. There's no doubt that over the course of a year, your existing clients will outperform anything and everything by 100x. So knowing that, it's not worth losing those clients by not staying in their face, because somebody else is, right? Somebody else definitely is.
Okay, we're gonna get back to
Everything.
this now. But first, Joanne Gore posted a really interesting story yesterday, so we're going to go over to that next. And always a challenge here with where we're going next, but I think this is it, right? Joanne Gore. Um, it's called "Run the Dishwasher Twice," and it was about a woman who was at a very low point in life, had to go to therapy, but didn't have really much to say. And the therapist said, "What are you struggling with?" And what exactly? What makes you feel overwhelmed? And the woman replied, "The dishes. I just can't stand and scrub the dishes." She was, apparently had physical issues and that sort of thing, and felt very, very embarrassed about saying that that was her main struggle, because some people have much bigger problems. And the therapist said, "Run the dishwasher twice." She said, "If I don't stand and scrub the dishes, they won't get clean. I have a bad dishwasher." And the reply was, I'm not supposed to." And she said, "Well, why?" The therapist said, "Why the hell aren't you supposed to? Run it 3 times. Who cares, right? If you can't stand and scrub the dishes." I would also encourage you to put them in there early and run smaller batches, because the worst thing, seems to me, the worst thing isn't that we don't scrub the dishes. It's that they now that we only have the two of us at home, they sit for days, and that gets to be a problem. So that day, she went home and tossed the smelly dishes haphazardly into the dishwasher. I think that also helps. And ran it 3 times. Okay. I felt like I had conquered a dragon. The next day, I took a shower lying down. And at this point in the article, I thought this was Joanne talking. And I was really worried about her because, I don't even know. Our shower, I guess if you had a full bath, our shower is kind of a stand up shower. So I don't know that you could even fit in there laying down. Uh, I remember one time, well, never mind. Anyway, and then she just folded her laundry and put it away, whatever it could fit. She said, "I'm in a healthier place now. I rinse my dishes and put them in the dishwasher properly. I shower standing up." And it turns out this is by Kate Scott from something called Incredible Things. And it's nice that Joanne gives that credit. And it's also nice that Joanne isn't the one with the at the low point in life. But I think that You know, I hear that rule that it's always better to keep a customer than it is to get a new customer. I remember one time, I don't remember the offer. I don't remember what we were selling, but I talked to my list broker about these chocolate covered strawberries that I heard on talk radio. And you know, they advertised a lot, especially before Valentine's Day, as an example. And a perfect gift, you could just call this 800 number and get the strawberries delivered, and they were beautifully boxed. And I said, you know, does anybody rent that? And he said, nope, we never get. We do have people test it, but we never get continuations. And I said, why is that? He said, because that product is an impulse buy, and they are able to acquire customers at a profit, but when next Valentine's Day comes around, they're looking for something different because gifts are like that. You don't want to give the same thing twice, right? And you don't necessarily want to mail the recipient. A lot of gift companies do mail the recipient lists, and that's how they grow their list. Um, but whatever the case, in that business, it was not their business model was not retaining customers. It was just acquiring at a profit and not worrying about it. Because though you can acquire at a profit, if you keep mailing them over and over and over, or keep contacting them forever, over and over and over, they will decline. You know, they're about 60% of your file is going to be one-time buyers who haven't bought lately and didn't spend much. And that's the way it is. I've seen, I don't know how many, probably hundreds of customer files, and they all pretty much look like that. There's more one-time buyers than there are multi-buyers, and the multi-buyers are more valuable. But if you only mail the multi-buyers, eventually you'll lose your business. I remember when I first started working with Lovesac, the president and I had a talk, and she said, you know, it's easier to sell a new item to an existing customer than it is to get a new customer. And that was from a 30-year-old Harvard Business Review article that I dig up every now and then and re-examine. But you know, it isn't always that way with every company. And in the case of Lovesac, they were filling 2/3 of their catalog with items that you could buy on Wayfair or Amazon for 25% less. They were using exactly the same shots. They weren't even reshooting them to make them look a little different or rewriting the copy. It looked exactly like what you'd see in Amazon if you compared them. And they weren't selling at all. It's just an exercise in futility because people had Lovesac in their head for furniture or for comfortable recreational furniture almost. It wasn't fine furniture. It wasn't Ethan Allen or something like that. And so what we found through the course of lots of testing and lots of experimentation was we found that new customers often came not from the marketing per se, but from marketing to existing customers. The problem with existing customers in furniture, of course, is you don't buy furniture every day. Your house would fill up. You know, you have to enjoy it for a while. So there's a long time frame. We saw the same thing in Cabela's. We saw if somebody bought a high ticket item, they would often go dormant for a long time because they'd shot their wad on a muzzle loader. Or same thing with Musician's Friend. You know, if somebody bought an expensive Gibson guitar, they would go dormant. So sometimes you want to let them be dormant for a while. In Cabela's case, we found that the 4-year-old muzzleloader buyers were better than Hotline because by then, you know, the muzzleloader came in. The wife said, "Now what'd you buy? We need a refrigerator." He said, "I really need that muzzleloader so I can go that extra week of hunting in between Thanksgiving and Christmas." So after the divorce was finalized, we found that zip codes with a high population of mobile homes, percentage of mobile homes, did really well. So now the husband is in the mobile home and he can buy again. I don't know if that's true, but there was a consistent, you know, an intro order that wasn't very big, and then an increase in spend, and then and then a decrease over time, where and that's what happened to me in most of my hobbies: scuba diving, or or skiing, or hunting. All of those, there was initial startup, and then after that, you have a lot of stuff. So one of the other takeaways of here is that this woman, Kate, went and got some advice from an expert. And that's something you want to really think about. Okay? And so, on that note, I want to go over to HelloFresh churn. Does HelloFresh have a customer churn problem? This is in exactly the same category of question that Andrew talks about. And David Foley observed from their 2022 annual report that the number of active customers actually went down. That's a bad sign. They might need to focus more on new customers, except that David says that they do a lot of package inserts and acquisition mailing. Now, I talked about Naked Wines a couple of weeks ago, and their initial offer is like $80 for $200 worth of wine, something like that. So you get, for $80, you get, I don't know, it's something like 12 bottles of wine. So it's, not very much. And we tried it once, and it was okay. Some of the wines we liked, some of them we didn't, but we didn't like any of them enough to buy a case of them at regular price. And so sometimes those initial offers actually work against you in your continued offer. If it's too good an offer, right? If it's too good, the customer wants to wait to be a new customer again, right? And so, the orders per customer went up just a minuscule amount. The number of orders actually went down a little bit. But in most cases, I would say HelloFresh has a product problem. No matter what, how many, is this something that you're going to use? There's probably a very small percentage of their customers that use this day in and day out. Single millionaires or something like that. That's my speculation. So it may not be that the customers don't like the product. It may just be that it's expensive for, when you can really get vegetables. I mean, imagine in Wisconsin, we used to have a garden, and but what you found was that the same time you had an overabundance of zucchini, for example, which takes over. It would take over the world if I didn't have a tractor lawnmower. So the same time that you have an abundance of zucchinis, there's 3 roadside stands with zucchini on them as you go down the road past our driveway. So there's probably times a year where you didn't worry about fresh, right? And all of these things make testing so important, and it makes thoughtful approaches so important, which is back to the dishwasher rules. You can read article after article after article, and it will give you all sorts of rules. Marketing, personalization. People are more interested in things that matter to them than in things that don't matter. Duh. Does that mean that you need to have a picture of their puppy on the cover of whatever you send them? No, you can't. It's too expensive. It might even offend them, right? Steal their pictures off Facebook and put it on the cover of a calendar of a catalog when you send it, right? No, it doesn't. Even if it's true, which of course it's true, it's tautologically true. That doesn't mean that is the best methodology for marketing. And you need to talk to somebody sometimes who's a little bit contrarian, or who has had enough shocking experiences where they were wrong, that they start to realize that the world is complicated and tricky, and get some help. So thank you for that, Andrew. I always appreciate your stuff, and on balance, you're right. On balance, treat your customers well. But my best customer ever was probably Adobe, who paid me about $1 million a year, and we probably increased their valuation tenfold in 6 months. We went from 20, it's a division of Adobe. We went from 25 million annualized to 50 million annualized in not even 6 months. And it just had to do with spotting untapped resources that they had laying around. We got them to work. So that said, they left. They sold the company, right? And no matter how good your relationship, I mean, with Baseball Express, we had the company sold 5 times and they still kept us along till the last time. You know, that was about a 10-year run. But eventually your customers are going to die or stop ordering. Their lifestyle is going to change. You need to keep putting in new customers. And perhaps one of these days I'll revisit the bathtub model, but it's out on YouTube. It's one of my very first videos about customer retention and acquisition and how you keep those in balance. And that's the bottom line, is you have to keep them in balance, because you're not really a relationship. You're not their spouse. You're not their children. You're a vendor, right? And if you don't have zucchini, the guy down the road has zucchini. And HelloFresh has zucchini. And there's plenty of alternative sources, unless you're in a totalitarian state where you're stuck. But in that case, you don't have to worry about marketing either. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you hang on this long, WDMA is back in action, but it isn't unlocked to the public yet. We have it running. Everything's going to be back to normal. But if you really want these articles, send me a note on LinkedIn. Probably is the best, better than email. Bye-bye.